Thanks for staying with us. Now, she's one of Ireland's best-known broadcasters who had us all talking when she decided to leave RTÉ for Newstalk last year. Now, Muireann caught up with Claire Byrne last week to see how she's feeling ahead of the new gig.
Claire Byrne, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm delighted to be here.
It's so nice to have you. Listen, it's all fresh starts for you and everything, but you were headline news when you decided last year, after 15 years, to leave RTÉ. First of all, did you expect the reaction that everyone would be talking about it?
Well, you see, I suppose it was in my head for a while. You know, I'd been thinking about it for a while. Would I make the move? So it didn't feel like a surprise to me, which is probably a silly thing to say. But I suppose I expected there would be a little bit of attention around it. There was probably a bit more than I had expected because, like, people change jobs all the time.
Yeah.
And now, sure, everyone's well used to the notion that I'm gone. Some people think I've disappeared altogether because I've been off air for a while, you know. So, yeah, looking forward to getting started.
But there's a thing, I suppose, when you're... Because you've been in the independent sector, you've been in a state broadcaster, and there's a lot when you are in a place like RTÉ, the public do own you and can kind of... And I'm sure, like, being a topic of conversation and people coming up and going, what are you at? And, like, I remember when you had to divulge your salary on air. Was that an odd thing to have to do?
Very. I mean, very. And that is a consideration if you're working in the public service broadcaster, you know, and that whole time was just not pleasant for anybody. But I was being accused of having, you know, funny deals on my pay, and I had journalists asking me had I got free cars, and I just thought, you know what, I have to, for my own audience, the people who listened to me every day on that programme, I had to sit there and tell them. I just had to.
Yeah.
And I came up with that statement myself, and I know it probably sounded very formalised to sit there and read it out, but I had to do it because everybody was at sea. The people who worked in RTÉ were at sea. The people who consume RTÉ were at sea as well with what was going on. So it is a strange place to be. And I suppose coming from the commercial sector, it's not the most comfortable. You don't really want to be in that situation where your plumber and your electrician know exactly how much money you have. It's all a bit odd and a bit uncomfortable. But I think it's part of accepting when you go and work for RTÉ or work in any form of the public service that you are more public property than you would be if you work in a private commercial organisation.
And what did that factor into the decision to leave, to kind of go, OK, I can kind of be more of a private citizen again?
To a certain extent, but it's more, I love a bit of adrenaline and I love a bit of change, you know, and right now, starting off in something new, I probably have a bit more of that than I'd like.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about it, you know, I'm nervous about the change, but I do thrive off that. So I always said to myself early in my career, 3 to 5 years now, that's enough, and then you should move on. You know, and I'm 15 years in RTÉ. Yeah. And I was 4 years in Newstalk before that. So, you know, I do like to shift and change and challenge myself. So, yes, maybe I did want to get off the public sector stage for a bit or in a way, but I'm still going to be out there, you know.
And doing what you do. And I just know at that time, and because I remember we were reporting on it here every single day. You were reporting on the organisation in which you worked in. And every time I went out, regardless of where I was in the country, I'd be asked about Ryan Tubridy, and I didn't even really know Ryan. I knew him a little bit. Were you getting that a lot? What about Ryan? What's going on with Ryan? Like, were you asked to comment on him? Why did you get rid of him? Why did he come back? Did that come up a lot for you?
Not really. I don't think people held me to account for RTÉ's decisions, you know, rightly so, because it had absolutely nothing to do with me. But, like, I mean, I don't want to add to what people have gone through, because individuals have gone through terrible times. But, you know, I think that and I never forget this because I know the people involved, you know, not just Ryan, but I do know Ryan, but people who work behind the scenes who were part of that whole thing suffered hugely personally over that whole time. And it was just awful, you know. I mean, I was on the periphery of it and I felt it. So you can imagine what it was like to be in the middle of all of that. Deeply uncomfortable, deeply affecting. And, you know, I'm glad for RTÉ that they seem to be leaving it behind, and I hope that they can. I certainly don't want to have to think about it again. It was just not pleasant.
And that's it. So you're not going to speak if I say, do you think you should go back to RTÉ if they'd welcome back with open arms?
I have always said, and I will always say, Ryan is a fantastic broadcaster. Like, he is incredible. He was incredible on the radio, incredible on the Late Late Show, and has so much to offer. But I can't sit here and say what RTÉ should do. I mean, I left RTÉ, so I don't have the right to say that. But I do think that he is a huge asset to any broadcasting corporation, industry, company, bottom line.
And how are you feeling about moving back to Newstalk.
Great.
That's where you were.
Great. There's still some people there who were there when I was last there 15 years ago. Like, there's a lot of, young people who are fantastic and, really up for it. But then there's some familiar faces as well, which is great because we all like that familiar face. Yeah. But it is a huge change for me. It's, I know it's a mid-morning radio show, right? And I shouldn't forget that I am going to be able to do it because right now I'm feeling that I can't.
This is so weird. It's like everyone's going, this is Claire Byrne, this is who gives us everything, and that you're getting nervous too.
My nerves are at me, Muireann. It's big, There's a big expectation there, so it would not be normal if I was breezing in to do it with no nerves or anxiety. So I have all of that, but I'm excited, It's a big shake-up for me at this stage because that was part of my decision as well. I was sitting there going, what do I do? Do I just sit here and I'll start to grow roots under the table in the studio at the desk? Whereas now I'm, completely challenged again.
And what does that mean for you? Because obviously, you're the Claire Byrne, we know what you do. You do a bit of everything, to be honest. It's hard politics, and then you take really well to the lighter stuff as well. You can tell some days you're just having a bit of crack. Yeah. So is that what we're going to get? Is that what you want to do?
Absolutely. Probably a bit more of the fun, I hope, and a bit more personality, because I think sometimes with public service, you're sort of compelled to do a bit more on the political side, a bit more on the news side. So yes, we'll cover, international news and national news, but a bit more fun as well. A bit more like what you do, Muireann.
A bit more of what's going on here. Well, to be fair, I am walking in the path of giants, because like when we celebrated 25 years here, it was because we made it here because of people like you. Because you in Ireland, started your career Ireland AM.
Yeah, Ireland AM was my first telly job, because I was radio before that. I was a radio reporter and I was a news editor in the Channel Islands. And then I came back here and I just applied everywhere. Where am I going to work? And I got called for an interview and a screen test here in TV3 at the time. And I ended up being the news anchor on Ireland AM in 1999. First TV job.
I think we should have... Will we have a look at Claire
Mortify me.
on Ireland AM? Let's have a look.
There are several myths about sleep, that you need 3 pillows to get positioned properly, that you need 9 hours sleep, that, all that sort of stuff, that 3 pints will give you a great night's sleep.
9 hours sleep, what's that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, the best way to have sleep on a continuous basis is not to have kids. I suppose that's about the best advice this man can give us.
I had 9.5 hours sleep last night.
9.5 kids.
There you go. I was sleeping like a baby, obviously, as well. How did I get 9.5 hours sleep coming in here in the middle of the night?
I know that you like to go out as well. I was like, at that time, you were having the crack.
Oh, yeah, it was great fun. Great fun here at that time.
You did have fun, because it was the baby, it was Disruptor.
Yeah, and we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah. But you got to sit there at a desk and you were having... Yeah. Was it fun?
Put your breakfast show on there, people who've never done a breakfast show before. No, it was just such great crack, and we were breaking new ground, What I say, it was like Mad Men. It was just out, you were just out all the time. You were having fun, the glamour of it, It was like, great big budget for this, and what clothes suit you? Let's get them. Yeah, no, honestly, it was great.
I'm so jealous right now. Alan never told me about this, because you've worked, obviously, with Alan, a huge part in your career. I have to ask you, and I'm not saying that this has anything to do with Alan Hughes, what happened with a penis puppet?
Oh, the puppetry of the penis. There was a show in Dublin. I've never seen... I never want to see this show, just putting that out there. But they were brought in... Imagine they were brought into Ireland AM.
Yes, I can imagine that.
To stand in front of us and do their puppetry of the penis, which is exactly what you think it is. And the idea was that the presenters... Obviously, they couldn't film the act because that couldn't be broadcast, but they could film the reaction of the presenters. But I don't think I sat in on that. I think I said to them, I can't do that.
So this is getting so meta. This is Gogglebox before Gogglebox. Yeah. Behind the cameras, the puppetry was happening.
And we had to sit... The idea was that we would sit here and watch them, and our reactions would be broadcast. But I think I said to them at the time, I can't actually do that. I'd die.
Did you say to them, someday I'm going to be Claire Byrne? I am not doing that. No, that is not happening.
I don't think I said that. I think I just wasn't able. I was very bad at corpsing as well, laughing, inappropriately, particularly with Alan. I mean...
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare.
Does it to me all the time.
He's a nightmare, because it's just like the euphemisms just flow out of him.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But also he can't control it, which I absolutely love.
No.
He tries to control his mouth, but his eyes are just streaming. It's great.
He tries to control his mouth, guys. That's what Alan tries to do. Does he try? Does he really try? You've done this gorgeous thing where you have managed to to walk this line between light entertainment, and because you did an afternoon show on RTÉ as well.
Yeah,
with
me and Dahi.
Light entertainment and serious, hard news, which often in Ireland you're not allowed to do. You're put into a box, one or the other.
Maybe so, but like, to me, it makes total sense. So when people define current affairs, I think that's not politics or hard news or, you know, the news bulletin at 1 o'clock. That is everything that we do in our lives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything from watching Dancing with the Stars or Real Housewives to, you know, paying for stuff or, you know, making your way into work or dealing with political decisions, whatever it might be. It's everything. So we should all be that. We should all be allowed to be that. Like, nobody is completely serious or completely jokey and happy and humorous. We're all a mix of those things.
And I think sometimes we can get lost in that people forget that people are a multitude of things. Because how do you relax with like proper trashy telly? Not just
like
Ireland AM,
I do
obviously.
like to now. I found in my prep little stage now that I have been in that I haven't had that much time, but I do like a good get lost in a nice, you know, thriller or a bit of trash. You know,
are you a Real Housewives girl?
Not so much. I would dip in and out of that. I was in a Selling Sunset phase for a while. Then that just went, I think that went off the rails.
I mean, that went just mad.
But the early seasons.
When it was real,
great.
when it was like, I will be able to buy a €5 million house someday.
But I still follow Chriselle on Instagram.
I mean, you got to know what's going on.
You got to know. I follow you as well, by the way. I love what you do in the mornings with the getting ready.
That's it. Okay, yeah.
No, I love it. I'm addicted to that. Under the desk and work.
But it's... I love that, because I'm over there. That's what you're doing when you're typing, when we hear through the mics.
I'm looking.
But it is the sort of thing when you're sitting there, if you're doing something about the Beckhams right now, which is... It's political, but it's also showbiz, and it's not that it's not that serious with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, hook it to my veins.
Thank you.
Love it.
Is that what's...
Love it. You can't not watch that. I'm sorry. It's just, and, you know, in the context of the documentary made about him, and I was crying watching that, the abuse that he went through when he was on the England team, all of that. Now I look at it and I go, now.
How were we being manipulated?
Yeah.
When you were on the Late, because that was hopping in it's obviously been the WhatsApp groups, the girlies have been going mad about it. In my WhatsApp groups, the girls, after your appearance on the Late Late Show, were like, what is her skincare routine?
Really?
Yeah, all going, what's going on with Claire Byrne?
God, I do so little. I'm bad. I'm bad. I've recently started doing a bit of, see, I can't even remember, I'm so bad, vitamin C serum. I do that like religiously, but that's easy because it just goes straight in and you don't have to think about it. But what I've been doing for the last 3.5 years, lifting weights, changed my life.
How so?
I do it about 4 or 5 times a week, and I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
And that just ticks a lot of boxes for me. Skin is better, head is better, you know, stamina for work is better. It just works.
And
for me.
finding time for yourself.
Yeah, and it takes me about 40 minutes or 45 minutes, and I do it at home. Like I go out to the shed, the
famous Claire Byrne shed.
Yeah, I've dumbbells in there now. And
oh my God, I want to get that.
That's what I do.
I want to get that shed on Room to Improve. We might get some Get Ready With Me's in her new job in Newstalk, which 9 a.m, of course, every single weekday morning.
That's it.
You buzzing?
9 to 12, can't wait, yeah.
Claire Byrne, lovely to have you.
You'd have to join me someday.
Oh, sure, I'm at work.
I'll get you in there.
Yeah,
I'll get you.
You don't need to be that light entertainment. Claire Byrne, a pleasure having you. Thanks so much.
Lovely to be here. Thanks, Muireann.